Okay, so here we are in Cinema 4D. Gonna walk through making a lower third and see what we can do here. So I'm gonna start out with a linear spline. Actually, I'm gonna make a cube first and just kind of modify this a little bit. And I want to bring a camera in the scene so I can kind of see what I'm doing. And I have my render settings, my output settings, set up for 720 by 480, which is what we use in instructional television. So I have that there. I am also showing my title safe areas here. And so what I want to do is kind of line up this cube. And this is going to kind of be where my text goes. So I want it about the same size of what a lower third background would be. And that's probably good there. And I'll come out of my camera. And I want it to be thinner. And there we go. I'm going to make kind of an industrial robotic type look to this. And I'm going to move this just a little bit and turn my snapping on because I want to snap to my grid here. Okay, and now we'll go back to our linear spline. And I don't think I shared my screen. So, how about this? Shazam! Okay, so we are in the front camera here. Just make that bigger. And I'm going to make some corner, kind of like bumpers for this. And I'm just going to draw these out. There we go. Okay, so this is going to be the basis. I'm just going to copy this and use it on all four corners of the cube. So let's go ahead and drop it into an extrude NURBS. And let's take a look at this from the side. And so my extrude NURBS, let's see, make it a little bit bigger. And I've still got my snapping on. That can be a pain. There we go. I could do a little math and get that perfect, but that's working out. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this for all four of the corners. So what I'm going to do really quick is I'm going to drop this in the cube and use my PSR reset. And let's see, I want to take my spline. Actually, I'm going to undo that. That's not going to work as good as I thought. When I did this the first time, I had a different shape. So I'm just going to copy this out, control dragging, and I need four corners. All right. And so I'll start placing these how I need them. And let's see, so this one needs to be holding shift, gonna go 180 degrees. And that didn't work. Okay, and so I've got that one and this one. I'll drag this up to the top, and then I'm going to use this other top one. And let's see, this one. Going to rotate around 180 degrees. And bring it in. Now, if I was doing this for any other reason, I would I'd make sure I'm making these measurements accurate. But for this, I'm just giving you the general idea. I'm going to be flowing through After Effects and Apple Motion. We're going to bring this all the way into Final Cut so that it can be used as a preset. So spin this one around 180 degrees. And I'm just going to move the anchor point over a little bit. Alright, so let's look through our camera here, and you can see we've got the different pieces here. Now 2 of them are offset a little bit, so we're going to fix that. Let's go into this view here, and we're just going to line these up a little bit better. That one's good, this one's not. There we go. And this one's not. Okay. So if we take a look here, this is going to be the basis for the lower third here. I do want to add some caps, so let's just add a little filet cap here. Filet mignon cap, 2 and 2. And okay, so let's go to our cube, and we're going to add the fillet here too, and I don't want as much here, so let's kind of take a closer look at that, see how that turned out. That's not bad. Okay, so this is going to be the background. Now I'm going to make a little hinge attachment on the side here. Just start out with the cube and make sure I'm in modeling mode. And this is going to be downsized quite a bit. And this is just going to be the hinge system that's going to help to bring on the piece, the lower third. Okay, and I'm just going to hold control and drag out another one. Well, let go of control. There we go. And I'm going to bring out a cylinder, and that's going to be way too big. And then I'm going to take one more of my cubes. All right. All right, there we go. So let's go back into our camera here. And we're going to make this a little longer. So we want it to come off screen. Okay, so let's do a little bit of tidying up here. Let's see, this is bottom corner, bottom corner, top corner, top corner. This and this are the background hinges. This is the swing hinge. All right. Swing hinge, cylinder, hinge, hinge, corners, and this is the background. All right, so I'm going to bring out a null. Now I've added my null here, so I didn't have to dig in here to get to it, but I need a null. And I'm going to bring my camera up above the null. And here's my background. Now I want my corners to be child of the background, because when I move the background, I want those to stay with it, and also the background hinges. And the cylinder is going to be a child of the swing hinge. All right, and so what I'm going to do is drop these into that null, and this is my lower third. Okay, so if I take my lower third, I want to move my anchor point so that when I rotate this, it's going to rotate from the swing hinge. So if you look now, I can rotate that. Whoops. I can rotate it on here. So let's go back to our camera, and we will look at the coordinates here. And so I'm going to animate it on like this. Now it's a very simple animation. This isn't about the creative process. This is more about the workflow. So I'm really just whipping together a lower third here. Now Let's see, so I want this off screen, and I'm going to control click to make my keyframe here. And I actually want that keyframe to wait a couple seconds or a couple frames. And then I'm going to come out, let's go 20 frames later, and I'm going to have this be right about there. And then I'm going to do another rotation. I'm going to take my, let's see, let's move my anchor point of my background. No. The reason that is it's not, let's see, it's not editable, so I can't move the anchor point. So if we make it editable, and I'm going to put that right on the cylinder. And so the background, now, if I rotate it, so this is just giving me two different movements. So I'm going to start out like this at the beginning. Make a keyframe, come out, and 25 is where that one stops. I'll go a couple extra, and we're going to bring this right there. So let's just take a look. Okay, so 3 seconds. My total animation is done at 1 second. I'm going to change this to 40 frames. And I'm going to take and just move these keyframes out a little bit. Just make it last a little bit longer. Okay. Now I'm just using the default light here, and the materials are pretty boring, but let's go ahead. I'm going to choose a red luminant. Let's see, luminance. And I'm going to drop this onto my corners. And I'm going to set this up so that it's only on the rounding. So you can see there. So if I copy this now, it'll keep that R1. And it looks like 2 of them I need to change. So this one needs to be R2, and this one needs to be R2. And it has to be a capital R. So there we go. I'm just going to do a black material, nothing fancy, and I'll drop this on here. And there we go. And let's just do just a fairly reflective material for the background. And let's get some color going on here. All right, so that's just going to give us something to work with. Let's go into our render settings. Of course, we want to crank up the anti-aliasing. We're going to save it. I'm going to use an alpha channel, and I'm going to choose the straight alpha, and I'm going to save it out as PSD TIFF sequences. So let's take a look. I'm going to open up one that I did recently. Let's see. So this is one that I did a little while ago. Same type of thing. And all right, so let's shut down Cinema 4D and let's open After Effects. So this workflow, I'm using After Effects to take my my TIFF sequence and bring it into After Effects and render it out. It's just going to be real quick in After Effects. I started, the first time I did this, I used, okay, so I'm going to bring in my sequence that I made earlier, and here we go. And of course I want to keep it straight unmatted. And I'm going to take this, drag it down to a new comp. And here you see, this is the one I made earlier. So it's almost identical, just a little different. Just a wee bit different. So that's it. I'm only using After Effects for this one little piece. I could do a little color correction and some other things, but I'm not going to. Composition, add to render quay. And I just want to save it out with my alpha, so RGB plus alpha, and go OK. And I just want to make sure that it's going to my desktop. Yes, it is. And render that out. Ding! OK. So that's Cinema 4D. I'm going to open up Motion now and screen fail again. Since After Effects was so quick, let's do that again. Okay. So let's start over here. So here we are in After Effects. I'm going to double click on my project and I'm going to bring in my lower third. This one is very similar to the one I made just now in Cinema 4D. I'm going to drag the sequence down, bring it down to a new comp, and see it's very similar. It just animates on screen. Now, the reason that I'm not animating off screen is we'll see that in Final Cut. So this is it. This is all I'm going to do here. Composition, add to render quay, click on lossless, and I want to add my alpha. Now I'm going to cancel that. I also have a preset that I made that is lossless with alpha. So just know that that's what that's doing. And I just did this one out. So let's go take a look at that inside of Motion. Okay, now I hate this about Motion. Because it's separate windows, I can't share the whole thing. I think you guys can only see this window. You can't see my file browser. So know that right now what I'm about to do is just drag this from the file browser in Apple Motion and plop it into my project here. And there's my lower third background. Now, what I need to do to make this longer is I'm going to use a behavior up here in the retiming area, and we're going to use hold frame. And if I bring up my timing pane, I'm going to make this so that it's right at the end, and then I'm going to drag it out. So now you may want to change your project duration time. 10 seconds is fine for me. So basically, this comes out, and there it sits. So, okay, the reason I'm bringing it into Apple Motion, what we do is we make graphics for instructional television, and we don't have time to make new graphics every day. But what we do is we make templates to bring into Final Cut, and all we have to do is change some of the text, and we can even do that right inside of Final Cut. So if you're familiar with using Final Cut master templates, then you understand what I'm talking about there. I'm just going to try to center this up a little bit. There we go. And so we make master templates, and we use those. So that's what I'm going to do here. Now I'm going to do this two different ways. Right after it swings into place, so right about here, I'm going to grab some text and we're going to do that. Now I'm going to use my inspector very little in this. The reason being you guys can't see it, but there is an all caps, and I'm going to check that off because I want this to be all capital letters. And I'm just going to kind of nudge it into place here, and we're going to go a little bigger. Now, to nudge things in Motion, you have to hold down the Command button, and then you can use your arrows to kind of nudge things. Alright, so I think I want this to be black text. I think it'll look better. Not quite as contrasting, and the shadow up here's I don't like the way that is, but if I change it to transparent, it's taking a little bit of the darkness away. With it on color and a black background, there's just way too much. Just way too much for way too much going on here. So what I'm going to do is click on my name here, and I'm going to add a behavior, just a basic text behavior. And I want to be careful because I don't want these to be, let's see here, I don't want them to come from outside of my background. So like this one, it just fades in, and that's a pretty good one for this instance. Let me pick one that wouldn't be as good. If I added something crazy like maybe blast in, you see that the letters come from way out here, and you can't see it as bad. Let me go back to transparent and see. I've got these letters way outside of here, so it's working that way, and whatever. So that's not too bad, but I kind of like that fade. So I'm going to bring that fade back in. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this and slide it down a little bit. And this is going to be my description. And I'm going to take the size down on that. Grab my selection tool and just kind of, I want this to be slide it over. I'm going to try to line it up here, the D and the M. And it already has the behaviors. So that's about it for the motion. The motion, about the only thing I'm doing is the text. So we are good there. And what I'm going to do is go File, Save as Template, and I'm going to call this third. I'm going to start it out with third. That way all my lower thirds start with third. And then I'm going to give it a descriptive name, industrial. Third industrial. And I'm going to put it into my show graphics theme. And I'm going to collect select the media. That way I know that the media is always where it needs to be. I'm going to uncheck includes unused media and go save. And this is going to take a second to render out. I'm going to start Final Cut up. And there's Final Cut. Let me make sure I share that new screen. Okay, another pain in the butt. Thanks, Apple, for making all these this way. I'm gonna do my viewer. So we're gonna go share selected window. So unfortunately, all you can see is one of my 5 windows inside of Final Cut. Let's go ahead, and this is where my templates are. So inside my viewer, I'm going to go here and go down to Master Templates, and I have Show Graphics, and here's the one that I just created called Third Industrial, and it'll take a second to load up, and then once it's loaded up, here it is. Now, controls. Here we are, and I have my text. So type my name in here, and then we can play through this. There we go. Now, I would have to save my timeline, but I'm going to do that because I just want to show you. I'm going to drag this down to my timeline. Now I guess I have to go share that separately. Okay, so the reason why I don't worry about animating this off the screen, I only worry about things animating on, is because we oftentimes shorten this to where we want it or need it, and then we right-click, Add Transition, Cross Dissolve, and so then what happens is the lower third will just fade out. The reason for that is a lot of our clips might be so short that a 10-second lower third is too long. So over the years, I've decided, I've decided to take that and use this workflow where I don't worry about it animating off. We just stretch it where we need it and then cross dissolve it. So, okay, so that is a round trip. We started in Cinema 4D, and we animated modeled just a real quick lower third. I know it wasn't fancy. I really didn't want to get too in-depth with any of that. Modeled a quick lower third, animated the in transition, and then we brought it into After Effects. And the reason I bring it into After Effects is in Motion, I can use TIFF sequences, but for some reason it gives me missing media later on when I bring it into Final Cut as a template. I made a few of these, and then I realized that Final Cut was telling me there was missing media. So the TIFF sequence isn't the best for Motion, so I bring it into After Effects, and I export it as a QuickTime movie with Alpha. I bring it into Motion, I add my text and my animations, I make it last longer, and then I bring it into Final Cut. Now, you notice I'm using Final Cut 7. Final Cut X at our school, we have it, and we use it for some projects, but I'm not able to import in from my camera, and I'm not able to export out to my closed circuit television system. So we sometimes do news projects, news reports, using Final Cut X, where we take the footage in 7, we edit in X, we export as a QuickTime, we bring it into 7 to put it in our daily news show. So I hope you've enjoyed. feel free to leave a comment in the comments below. And till next time.